In the previous section, we just talked about gathering the data in the employee survey sheet that I do to start with. Now that we have this data in our hands the first time, we're going to look at a couple of items and compare notes. The first thing we're going to look at are the lists extremely similar. This is a good thing. That shows that management is communicating their concerns to the employees and both sides see that these areas need to be addressed. That's a big help. If you're at this point, you have everybody on the same page and we're wanting to work together to solve it. That happens 25% of the time, maybe. The second item is more likely what you're going to see a lot of the time. You'll get two separate lists by management and non-management. And what this will do is it shows us that the line of communication from management to the employees is flawed. And we need to work on improving that connection. And a lot of times this will happen because corporate management has their hot list of items they have to deal with for their role of task. Middle management will have their list of items that they're being put down from upper management. You must do these items. And it's back to the perspective again of if all you hear is these items, then you're not looking at the whole picture. You're looking at just these targeted focus. The people in the field tend not to have those issues as much, and they tend to see it from a different, clearer perspective. So I definitely want to look and compare to see how well the communication is happening. And that's what we're going to do when we start sorting the data. This will pop up very clearly, very quickly. Now, if the management and non-management list differs, we've got to look on the following items immediately. The first thing we've got to do is create a clear and concise message from the top down. We've got to say, this is what we're working on. These are the areas we're worried about. And we need to make a very intense effort to improve communication. The next part of this, which is continuing this, is we've got to get all levels of management to improve effective communication. And this sounds very cliche-ish. It sounds like something you put on a poster. Talk to each other. The thing is we need to teach habits of repeat and repeat, is to communicate and repeat back. This is when you're a manager talking to an employee. This is what I need you to do. Have them repeat it back to you. Hopefully, at some point in this deal, there's a question that I want everybody to learn to ask. This would solve 80% of all issues. What are we trying to accomplish? A lot of times when you ask that one simple question, the communication opens up because now the manager is not telling you, I need you to do this task. They're saying, we need to do this task because we're trying to record this data. Our regulatory requirements say we must document these items. And when you explain it to an employee, this is what we're trying to accomplish, two things happen. The first thing is they understand, okay, this is not just some silly thing that management's shoving down our throat. There's actually a point to it. And then the second part it does is also says, well, if that's all we're trying to do, wouldn't it be easier to do this way? That, a lot of times, is where you get the best products because the people in the field, once you tell them what you're trying to accomplish, they may have a totally different way of getting to the same point that a lot of times may be a better, more effective, easier way than what you think you're doing from the management perspective. This is part of the stressing the openness and feedback welcome from all employees. A large part of what separates a service star from everybody else is I focus more on the communication, the thought processes, and the conveying of information a lot more than I do the actual information itself a lot of the time. Because once you get everybody to learn how to communicate and talk and define what they're wanting to accomplish, the growth and the tools become secondary. So the openness and feedback, when you get a manager who can talk to an employee and say, this is what we're trying to do, this is what we want to accomplish, and the employee says, well, would it be easier to do this? Then you're starting to grow as a company. And this is what's going to separate you from every other company is if you have that team effort, that process. And it talks about in the next item, create an atmosphere where management is being available to employees. The other thing is we offer them options to employees to address concerns from managers. It's all about creating an open door policy. And in the next item, create a culture of teamwork and openness to new ideas and conversations. A lot of times, a manager can say, look, we need to look at a way of doing this process to meet these requirements. If you do a weekly meeting, you can throw it out and say, hey, this is what I'm being tasked with. Any ideas on how we can do this to make it a better process? If you get the field involvement in early, a lot of times you save the hassle of creating a process from the management side that doesn't work for the field side. And a lot of times the field will give you an option you might not have thought of, and you can merge it with the idea that you may have in your head and work toward a workable solution that both sides can agree to. But you have to have the communication, because once you get the employees to understand that you're not just creating policy just to create policy, that there's actually goals and reasons behind it, and you have managers who are not offended or upset if an employee says, what are we trying to accomplish by doing this? Then you can actually start growing the process. And this is the part that at Service Star we work on constantly. An employee who asks a question is not a threat to a manager. A manager who asks for ideas from his employees is not a weak manager. He's actually he or she's a stronger manager because they're getting feedback from everybody involved. But a lot of small companies are run under a dictatorship of, well, we're going to tell you what to do. You just do it and don't ask questions. And those clients are not Service Star clients. That is one thing I will not do business with is a company that wants to be a dictatorship and does not promote customer first service. So this covers the basic first steps of management company analysis. There'll be more videos coming out. If you have something that you want to add to this, please make a note in the comments. Please go to our website, servicestarconsulting.com. Send me an email, say, hey, can you cover this topic? Can you add to this topic? This site is something I'm providing for small businesses at no charge to try to provide information from someone who has worked in mom and pop businesses, bigger companies, and public companies. So if I can provide information, I'm here to do that. I want to do that. So this is just the first steps of our journey. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this.